So, would you rather draw with a pen and paper or a bunch of bricks? I really hope you said pen and paper, because I mean, you could sell a bunch of bricks to an art gallery and they'd buy it for 22 million, but for the normal folk among you, I hope you said pen and paper. But what about when it comes to digital art or photo editing? Well, you could spend 10 quid and get a mouse, or you could spend more money and get a tablet. But why would you spend more money and get a tablet? Like, you know how to use a mouse, you probably have one lying around. If you don't, they're fairly inexpensive. Well, the main reason you'll hear anyone say is pen pressure. Let me show you. I press slightly, and pen is very small, but can you do this with a mouse? Change line weight just by pressing lighter or harder. Like, your drawings would be much more dynamic just by having a little pen pressure. Like with a mouse, it's always the same. Like, I could go in, change the brush size, but it's not the same. Like, I did that all in one stroke, whereas I have to do each individual stroke. Like, it would take a lot of time for me to do one small stroke, change the size, do another stroke, change the size, and that's not the only advantage. So if I go over to the brush settings, go to transfer, and set the opacity and flow to pen pressure. I press slightly, the colour comes slightly. I press harder, there's more colour, the flow is higher. Whereas, if I use the mouse, it's always that dark red. And you must be saying, like, yeah, that's not special, go to the flow, turn it all the way down, and start shading. And you'd be right, like, I could do that with a mouse, but did you not just see, I did all of that in one stroke? Like, I could shade, I could go from dark to light. Let me turn the flow back up. I could go from dark to light with one stroke. I don't have to worry about the flow. Whereas with a mouse, I have to keep changing the flow over and over again. Or I have to keep shading and shading. And that could take a lot of time. And if you think those are the only advantages, brushes behave completely different with pen pressure. So, let's go to scattering. Turn on the control to pen pressure. Turn up the count. I want the control for the count to be in pen pressure, and I'm even going to turn the spacing up. I press slightly, I get different toned dots. I press hard, I get darker dots closer together. And you could fine tune that however you want to get whatever effect you want. Like, let me turn the spacing down. And I get this sort of effect, or that sort of effect. But if I use a mouse, it's always this effect, unless I keep going back, changing the settings. And that's the thing, it's just so much faster to use a tablet. Like, why would you want to use a mouse? Like, let's say you're working professionally, or you've only got an hour to do anything you want. Like, you've got an hour free per day to practice. Well, why would I want to spend half an hour in that hour just changing the settings? That's kind of boring. Where I could just be drawing, doing whatever I want. And yeah, you could use a mouse. You probably have one to start off, but do you really want to spend most of your time just changing settings or trying to get an effect that someone with a tablet could do in like 2 seconds? And here's the other thing. That inexpensive mouse you got, it probably doesn't have any extra buttons, or if it does, you can't do stuff like this unless you spend a lot of time programming it. Like, this took me 2 minutes in the Wacom tablet software. I could set up radio menus, I could do all this, I could change my brush settings really quickly, like brush size, softness, hardness. I could do that really quickly, and with my tablet, and with quite a lot of others, you get these additional express keys, which you could assign to anything. Admittedly, I don't use those, I use my keyboard for shortcuts instead, but you could have these full macro keys for anything you want, like, let's say you wanted them for converted to smart object, you could do that. I probably should do that, but that's for another day. And you could do so much more. Next thing, wait, let me first switch to a normal brush. There we go. So, my handwriting's not particularly good, so this isn't a good example, but you could do stuff which looks so much more natural. So, the first one, okay, I can't even write, like, with a mouse. And that's not me exaggerating, I'm trying. And you might be thinking, like, yeah, I could spend an hour doing that, my handwriting's pretty good with a mouse. Try writing it with a tablet, that would be so much nicer. Like, your handwriting might be way better than mine with a tablet just by using a mouse, but trust me, use a tablet, yours will be way better regardless. And next comes ergonomics. Like, you wouldn't hear anyone using a tablet working for 10-12 hours a day complain that their hands hurting from drawing too much. But with a mouse, you could easily get that, turning your hand into off positions just to get certain strokes, whereas I could just turn the tablet itself, or even better, rotate you could do that either way, you could rotate the page, but the thing about most tablets, they have this switch about here, which you could do gestures with, which is very handy. Like, I could quickly rotate the page without changing shortcuts, but that's just an additional feature you don't need. But the main thing, you could rotate the tablet yourself and get all the strokes without straining your hand. And now that you're thinking of buying a tablet, I hope you're thinking of buying a tablet, you must be thinking, which one should I get? Hop onto Amazon, first thing you see, Wacom Cintiq 16, 512 quid. I said they're gonna be cheap. How are they 512 quid? Well, thing is, this one has a screen. Don't look at the screen ones, they're awfully expensive for no good reason other than the fact they have a screen. Like, this one by XP Pen is 330 quid, this one by Huion is 249 quid. And they have their benefits, you could draw directly onto the screen, but look at that price. So, what could you do? You get an ordinary tablet without a screen. You keep it parallel to your computer screen or your laptop screen, and it works exactly the same as if you were using a mouse. You look at the screen and you move the pen on top of these dots in the tablet. And this only costs 36 quid. Now, if you want an upgrade from that, so you've got some express keys, this one by Wacom, the Intuos, costs 68 quid. This is a slightly upgraded version of mine, and if you spend a bit more, you get a wireless version. Okay, so what if you don't want to stick with Wacom? You get an XP pen. Now this is 60 quid, but it's got a nice drawing area, you've got quite a lot of keys, and the pen looks quite nice, and it's even got a stand. Or if you don't have that much money, you can get a smaller one for 35 quid. Or you could go Huion and get one for 63 quid. It doesn't matter which company you go for. I recommend going for one of these three companies because they're reputed for good reason. But you could even go for some I wouldn't say that, but if you really want, you could go for some Chinese counterfeit, but I strongly advise against that. If you've got any problems, then you're screwed. And now some of you must be thinking, well, if I'm spending like 60 quid, why not get an iPad? Because you're probably not thinking that, because, well, let's see. £969 for an iPad, 120 quid for Apple Pencil, 350 quid for the Magic Keyboard. Yeah, that's not cheap. So if you were thinking of getting an iPad and you're thinking, yeah, I could get these same features on the iPad I already have. Well, yeah, you've got these features on the iPad. You could buy Procreate, do whatever you want with an Apple Pencil. You get most of these features, but I can't really advise against it other than the price. A tablet's a tablet. The only thing is, if it's between getting an iPad or a new computer with a screen tablet, I'd always go for the screen tablet because, well, you don't need to charge the pen. Could you imagine how annoying that is? You're working on some important piece and the pen just dies. You have to set it down for an hour or two. It doesn't take an hour. You set it down for however long it takes to charge. And you just can't do anything. Whereas with these, I'm not going to explain how they do it. I'll probably butcher that, but you don't have to ever charge the pen, which is amazing. So I hope I've convinced you to buy a tablet. It doesn't matter which model you get, that's up to you. You could do some more research on it. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And I hope you have a nice day.